Now that we know the purposes and some functions of the menu bar, we will learn how to input data and formulas into our sheet. First, let's become familiar with our sheet. Directly under the menu bar to the left of the sheet, you'll notice a small rectangular box that has information in it. In this case, you see A1. This rectangular box is a cell reference box, also referred to as name box and address box, which will display the current cell that is being used for inputting data. Cells are the little rectangular boxes that are displayed in the columns and rows of the spreadsheet. Columns are represented by letters, and rows are represented by numbers. To identify a single cell, you will reference the column first and then the row. For example, the cell that is currently selected is A1. Directly underneath that will be A2 and so forth. The same applies to the remaining columns. This is B1, C1, and so forth. You'll notice that every time we are selecting cells, the cell reference box displays the current cell. To the right of the cell reference box, there is the formula bar where you will input text data and formulas. This data will be displayed into the cell that is currently selected. You have the option of inputting data into the formula bar or inputting data directly into the cell itself. Let's input data into cell A1. Let's select the cell and then click on the formula bar to enter text data. As we type the word assets into the formula bar, it automatically appears in a selected cell. Let's select cell C1. We will enter numerical data into this cell. To enter data into this cell, we simply double-click the cell like so. I'll enter $96,000 into the cell. I've manually entered the dollar sign, the numbers, and the comma. Once I've clicked out of the cell and back on again, you'll notice two different things. Cell C1's data displays $96,000 with the dollar sign, while the formula bar displays $96,000 without it. If we wanted to use column C for entering numerical data that represents dollar amounts, we can simply assign that column a permanent formula. To do this, we simply click on column C. We would then click on the Home tab, and in the menu bar, go to the Numbers section and click on the dollar sign icon. And column C will reformat to adjust to the new settings. You'll notice now that data in the cell has been reformatted to add a section for cents for calculation purposes. We can now insert data in the remaining cells in column C just using numbers, and the sheet will convert it accordingly. Let's enter in an amount in cell C2. We've entered 5,000 in the cell. Once we click out of the cell or press return, we will see the numerical data converted to dollar format. To enter a formula into a cell, you can enter it in the formula bar or the cell itself, just like with text data. There are various formulas that can be inputted into cells. However, we will focus on entering a basic formula to calculate a range of cells. A range of cells is a select group of cells. We will use column C to input a formula to calculate a range of cells. Let's enter numerical data into cells C3, C4, and C5. Let's enter 6,000, 12,000, 18,000 respectively. So now we have 5 cells of numerical data to calculate. $96,000 plus 5,000 plus 6,000 plus 12,000 plus 18,000. Again, there are a few ways that we can calculate the total. However, we will use a formula that you should become familiar with. We will use C7 to input our formula. Let's click on C7. And either in the formula bar or the cell itself, we will input the equal sign. Then the first cell, which is C1. Next, we will add a plus sign, and then the next cell, which is C2. We will add another plus sign in the next cell, which is C3. We will add another plus sign in cell C4, followed by a final plus sign in C5. Once this formula is entered, simply press return and the range of cells have been totaled automatically. This formula will remain permanent for this particular range of cells until the formula is changed. This means that we can change the numerical data in any one of those cells and the sheet will automatically calculate the total. For example, let's change the data in C1 from 96,000 to 25,000. Notice that C7 readjusted the figures accordingly. The final thing we will look at on this sheet is the name tab that is displayed at the bottom left of the sheet. Notice that the tab says Sheet 1. This is the default name for the current sheet. You can change this name by simply clicking on the sheet and deleting Sheet 1 and inserting a name of your choice. For example, we will delete this Sheet 1 and replace it with Assets. All other sheets you decide to create will have the default sheet name. Just change them accordingly. As we wrap up this lesson, consider the following questions. Where can you input data once you select a cell? What is one way to calculate a range of cells?